Hello, everyone, and welcome to live lesson for February 27th. Just making sure I got the right date. Welcome to live lesson. Today, I think I'm going to cover a little bit of the expectations in regards to your migrant reports. So specifically, when we are comparing our writing styles, we just finished our persuasive essays and or rant. Compare that to where we dive into our report writing skills. So there's definitely some very distinctive differences in style, and I think it's important just to kind of go over that. So first and foremost, that getting right into it. The idea of persuasion is just that. You are persuading your reader or your audience to lean or agree with your personal perspective of the topic. So, in that case, when we were writing our persuasion essays, we were focusing very much so on our own opinion, the kind of template, the breakdown of that, how to break down that argument using examples and connections to really strengthen what our position is. Now, for some of you, you did in fact incorporate um, secondary sources, so researching, bringing in articles, things like that. Many of you did that to sort of meet the expectation of rhetoric, so the idea of the logos, pathos, ethos, which was absolutely fine. Now, the reason I didn't specifically put a lot of emphasis on secondary sources, it was mentioned for those that were comfortable and were familiar with it. I didn't put a lot of emphasis on it because I very much wanted you to focus on the idea of your own voice, of strengthening the opinion based on the knowledge and sort of perspective of your topic from your own experience of that topic. So now as we are moving toward report writing, we're going to notice the difference in that right away. So when you are in fact writing a report, there's a completely different style to it. It is in fact more factual. There is an expectation that when you are creating a report, that you have secondary sources. It's kind of a must, right? So you're not writing a report unless you have your your secondary sources. And in this case, your expectation is you have to have a minimum of three reliable sources to incorporate within your report. Now, the persuasion essay, like I said, the reason why I did not emphasize that because I really wanted you working with your own voice, understanding the perspective of rhetoric as well, and relying on that to persuade your audience. So we go from persuasion to report writing and sort of making sure we're very comfortable with why I'm just sharing my screen, guys. Sorry, one sec. I'm going to flip over. There we go. And it's just the next one over. Sorry, I was going through our lessons here. Oh, and again, I'm so sorry, guys. My computer being a little lagged. There we go. So for lesson 11, the power to make connections and why Of Mice and Men is still relevant. So of course, Of Mice and Men is our novel of which we are getting to and drawing connections that again back to our theme for our course, the concept of power and the idea of migrant workers. Super important in terms of one of our concepts for our novel, as well as just important, especially in today's society, the idea of immigration and in the idea of the economy, job supply, such a relevant topic in terms of what we're dealing with today. But very quickly, we're going to get right into the idea of what is the point or what is the purpose of report writing, kind of our things I've already gone over with you, but of course, you have reread within our lesson. I'm actually going to bring your attention right here. So, some key things to remember with report writing: you use facts and details, and you always cite your sources. You're going to write in third person. You never make it personal, you make it objective. Again, very different from our persuasion essay, where because you're persuading, you had more of the option to create either a formal or informal kind of writing style. And with report writing, you are definitely making it much more formal. You may include pictures, diagrams, graphs, or tables to enhance your text. I just I'm going to warn you, not too many. So we don't want to sort of overpower your report with too many visuals. It then clouds kind of your own voice, your own research in terms of where your audience is going to focus their attention. And then we get right into chunking information to create headings and subheadings. The beauty of report writing is that it is very organized by heading. So it's very possible for me to pick up a report paper and I can essentially open one up, and just based on the headings of which your report is covering, I know exactly what it's about. So again, another visual difference between essay writing and report writing is headings. You don't have that in regular essay format. Now, when we go right into the concept of migrant workers, you have the option. So I definitely want you to read, I'm sorry, read this, of course, but I also want you to watch El Contrato, which is a great little, I want to say, documentary. I mean, it is considered a documentary by the National Film Board, but um, it's under an hour, which I find it to be a lot of great information. I don't think it'll take too much of your time. And whereas some documentaries are well into 2 hours. So I find it to be actually a pretty short documentary. And I think some of the topics of which they cover, I think you're really going to enjoy. I think you're really going to connect with, whether to our novel specifically, of course, but like I said before, to our culture, to our economy right now. I think this topic is really relevant, and I think you guys will gain a lot from it. And then going down, we get right into our writing assignment and research report. And what I wanted to focus very specifically in terms of your report is you do, in fact, have the option of choosing a modern perspective of migration and the working class and the working force, or you can, in fact, pick something that is a bit more historic. But there is an expectation that regardless of sort of what you choose, there should at least be some type of connection, hook, some type of mention of modern migrant workers, or sort of the idea of where we are currently at in our society with this concept. Just because I think, like I said, it's really, really prevalent. So I want you, within your research, I want you to sort of take the time and opportunity to sort of dive into what's happening currently and sort of gain some insight as to what is happening, whether in our local communities, such as Simcoe County or Ontario or Canada as a whole. I just think, again, widening our perspective and becoming critical thinkers in general, super important for you to do that and take this opportunity to take on a bit of a modern perspective somewhere within your reports. So I tried to include something very, very specific in regards to your report in terms of what are the expectations, what should it visually look like? So your report must include the following. So a creative title, a short introductory paragraph, three very well developed body paragraphs with appropriate headings or subheadings. Again, you can have up to two um, appropriately placed graphs. I'm going to actually ask, guys, please no more than two. I just think it's a relatively short report. And any more than two, I mean, for really three well developed body paragraphs, I wouldn't go more than that. Okay. You have to have three different sources. You are absolutely permitted to use the documentary of which I've included as one of your sources, but the expectation is that you do have three in total. So if you're going to use that documentary, no problem. Then you're going to have to find two reliable sources on your own as well. And again, please, 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 in terms of your rough work templates, organizers, I think at this point you guys know the expectation. Make sure you are using them and make sure you are including them because, of course, they do count for marks. So again, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to switch my screen here.